Hello, I'm Tile Man Mike, and I want to welcome you to a new thing that we're doing here. We want to educate the customer so you guys can make the right decisions for your home and have that beautiful backsplash, that beautiful shower, that beautiful entryway you've always wanted. Well, Tile Man Mike can help you. I've been doing this about 30 years, and I've had a lot of ups and downs through my career. And what I want to do is bring all my knowledge and experience to you to help you understand how to make those decisions and have a beautiful job you can be proud of. So today what we're going to do, we're going to put in a backsplash. And this is a groutless backsplash. It's a stone backsplash. If you'll take a look here, it's wrapped in plastic. It's a 1x2 variation of stone. Some that are a hammered type stone, some are flat. And what we're going to do, we're going to attach this to the drywall behind here, go all the way up to under the cabinet. We're going to terminate at the edge here. And terminations, I always like to use what is called a pencil. So whatever material you select, try to make sure that you've got the right materials to make all kinds of termination or unique designs. This is a great product. It's a perfect match, and it makes a nice transition. If you'll take a look at it, this is how it will look on the wall. And this will actually be a tile in each one of these open spaces here. So it's going to look really nice as we terminate there at the edge. Really nice and clean. As you'll look over here, we've already put in a little bit of the material. You will have a few, I said it was a groutless, but there'll be a few spots because of the way the stone is designed. There are some irregularities in it, but that does bring out some character in your jobs. And we'll just touch up these little areas to a blending grout, and it will just look very smooth, very nice. Microwave will go here, which will cover up this section. What we're going to do, our first thing that we do, it's very cold here today, but we're warm enough. We'd like it to be 50 degrees or more before we put any type of setting products and install any tile. And what we're going to do, we're going to start at the edge, and we're going to run our material all the way across. And what we'll probably do here, we'll probably remove this if the builder will let us. It's the skirt. It makes it easier and lets you have a nice transition. Here, sometimes the tile is so thick it would stick past the bottom of the skirt, so a lot of times we like to take those off and then reattach them, and you've got a nice clean edge there. We'll bring it to the last full tile here, and we'll probably use that same transition, which will be the pencil here at the top, which will probably end up about right there, and that'll look really, really nice, and you get a nice transition. Now in our next segment, you'll see me applying. What we're going to just use is a multi-purpose glue. It dries very fast. We like it to dry overnight before we do any type of grout touch-up, things like that. So join us in our next segment, and we'll start putting in our tile and show you our layout. Hello, this is Tile Man Mike again, and now we're starting our edge of our tile. And what I like to do, I like to take a level and make it nice and straight along that edge, and just put a very light line right along that edge. Okay, that'll be our first step. And then we'll take our tile, which is still wrapped in our bags, and I'll probably leave it wrapped. It just cuts better and lets the backing remain on there. Once the tile gets wet, a lot of times the backing will break loose, and you'll have a lot of loose tiles. And that's something you definitely don't want, because it is a nightmare to try to replace each one of those individual tiles. So what I'll do is this first piece, this is an interlocking. If you'll take a look at this, it interlocks to the next piece. But on our first piece, what you need to do is just go ahead and take your water saw, and you'll trim down that edge. And you start with a straight edge, and this will go here as such. And then you'll have your pencil that we talked about in our earlier segment, and it will go right along the edge of that line right there. And so we'll show you that here in just a minute. We'll cut these, and we'll start out. We'll spread our glue, and we like to let our glue dry just a little bit so it's nice and tacky, and the tile will stick very, very well. And we'll show you that in our next segment. Hello, this is Tile Man Mike again, and today I want to show you about when we cut our first piece. You've got to use a water saw, as I mentioned in my earlier segment, that you need to leave the plastic on, which lets the water stay away from the backing. You don't want the pieces to separate. So we're going to cut our first piece to have a straight edge to start with our pencil that we're going to put in with it. pieces. Now we have a nice straight edge that we're going to work with, and we'll put this in and start with our pencil. And we'll show that on our next segment. Hello, this is Tileman Mike again, and we're back at our backsplash. But one of the first things you got to do on your receptacles, obviously you'll have to take off your plates, and you also need to remove the receptacle screws, and you'll probably need longer screws, usually 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches, number 6 machine type, because the fixture here, you'll take a close look at that. These two edges here need to attach to the tile, so it's nice and secure. So you'll need a longer screw. So the screws will not be long enough. So anytime you put a tile backsplash in, you'll have to put longer screws. So we're going to go ahead and take these out. We're going to leave the electrical connected. There's no power to this right now. You always want to cut your power because that shock, it'll really wake you up in the morning. And what we can do, I kind of take them and I pull it and I kind of bend it back. And that way I can get it through the holes that I will be cutting out of my tile. Now what I use, I have a little jig that you can cut on site, and I cut it usually 2 inches by 4 inches. And what you want to do when you cut these, you want to leave the hole available at the top and the bottom. You don't want to cover those up with tile or you'll never be able to re-secure your receptacle. And so right now I'm going to apply the glue to start our first course with our pencil on the edge, and then you'll see that in our next segment.